I've been thinking about machine learning for a very long time at this point. Around 2010, 2011, a lot of computer vision things that had sort of been brewing for several decades kind of started to work. And I was looking at what was going on in computer science labs, looking at what was going on in military technology in different places. And it started to dawn on me that this was going to be quite a huge revolution in the history of images. So in the 2000s, I was thinking about this change in the visual landscape from humans making images from other humans. And we have kind of theoretical language that we use to talk about that, like spectacle or surveillance or what have you. But I was thinking about that shift from humans looking at images to machines looking at images. And I started to think about the fact that, when a machine is making an image or when a machine is looking at an image, it's not doing it in a way that's analogous to how we use our eyes. It's looking at data, ones and zeros, and then doing an interpretation of those ones and zeros. And that interpretation is another collection, ultimately, of ones and zeros. In that loop, in that circuit, there's no human. But there is an act of seeing that's going on, or image making and image reading that's going on. And so I thought that's so weird that there's this world of machine seeing, or computer vision, is really about images that are invisible to us, that are not made for us. And we actually have to make special tools in order to make those visible to us. The overall project is quite vast. There's layers to it. There's corpuses, there's classes, there's individual images in it. There's a whole nother section that I think about as neurons or primitives. And we start from the top. The basic unit of any machine learning model when it comes to computer vision is a taxonomy, right? When you're building a model, you have to say, these are all the things that I want to be able to recognize. And then implicitly, you're saying anything that I leave out are things that we're not going to be able to recognize. And you have to create training sets that are images associated with each of those categories. So we can think about that as a corpus. In my project, the corpuses are dictated from the piece of literature or philosophical idea that is animating the creation of that taxonomy. So for example, there's several taxonomies that are based on Dante. Dante's Inferno, Purgatory, Paradise. And what I did is I just went through the text and looked at what are all the images, what are the things that appeared in the Inferno that Dante saw, and how are they interpreted, right? And so I put together the list of all of those images and then build a training set out of that. And we call that a corpus. Now, below that category, we have individual categories. So in the Inferno, Dante sees a sea of ice. It's a specific image. So that, to make the training set then, okay, we have a category, and we have a corpus, the Inferno, a category, a sea of ice. A lot of images of a sea of ice. And so you put all those together, and you build a training set. Once you've built that model, you can, you create a GAN, and then you can say that you want to use the lake of ice as a discriminator, and you can use that to generate an image. So that's when you get an individual image within a class within this broader corpus. What's been wonderful about this process of working with fellowship is being able to go back through that project and really look at the scale, the scope, and the depth of what it actually was. What actually was training sets, models, millions of generated images, this research into looking at how to synthesize images from the deep layers of the model. So there's an extraordinary amount of work that was done that when the project first came out would have been entirely unintelligible to anybody except a very few people. What's more, when the project first came out, it was designed to be shown like in a traditional art space. The scale of it had to be brought down to that of what could be accommodated by a gallery, with a collection of white walls. That's not what the project is, though. The project really is this massive kind of collection of digital assets and ideas and models and, paths not taken, things that were left out. And so in this presentation, we're getting a much clearer understanding of why I did that project, what that project was, and some of the many, many rabbit holes that are in the project as well. When I was working on this project and as I was developing it, it was very clear to me how really revolutionary some of these technologies were going to be, not only for our visual culture, but for our own sense of self. And that's really borne out. And I think a lot of the consequences of these new forms of machinic environments that we live in have not really been recognized even as they're becoming ubiquitous. I worry about where this goes. I worry what it means to be able to automate an experience of reality for each individual person, which you're currently able to do. And I wonder what happens to the concept of a society at all when we increasingly are watching consensus reality disappear.